So I've been collecting some items at surface level here on the beach. In the meantime, while we're here on the beach, I also invite people to maybe have a look around at the landscape. And if you want to come with a sketchbook and a pencil and an eraser, you can just do some quick sketches about what's the beach like and then bring them back to the studio and see if you want to integrate them in some way. And I think starting by observing your surroundings is always the best place to start with. So I was just looking in that direction, which is the direction of the steamship hiding behind Canary Wharf, and I've always been really fascinated by this building.
When drawing a landscape, pick your shot just like you would do when taking a picture, but instead, get drawing. Establish what are the main features, what you would like to be focusing on, and where you would like to place the subject, in this case the buildings, on the paper. We can see Canary Wharf, the city, and the HSBC building, accompanied by lots of other chaotic small buildings, but I'm not really interested in those. Instead, I want to remember the skyscrapers I'm seeing, so I focus on the architecture and heights in relation to each other. I can then look into details like the shape of the windows, some are triangular, some squared. Sketch as much as you like, and the more you sketch, the more things you will notice. All the material will be helpful once back in the studio. For this workshop, you can use any drawing material you have around the house. The basics are a pencil and paper, but you can also use a pen, colored pencil or charcoal. If you feel like painting, you can use acrylics, watercolor or gouache, anything that can leave a mark on a surface, really.
We are back at the Steamship project space after our trip to the beach, and we left the beach with some sketches of the neighborhood. This is obviously a very rough sketch, but you can make as many as you want of them and study, let's say, the area around you and the neighborhood around you and observe it. And then once you're back in your studio, you can spend more time and try and complete the drawing or use the sketches you've made to reconstruct the landscape around you and mix up different buildings in one picture. These are just a few examples of drawings I've made, just to show that the rough sketch is just to help you keep in mind what you've been seeing, and then you can re-elaborate on it as much as you want afterwards. Among the things we found at the beach, the most popular items, I guess you might have noticed, lots of bits like that. And these are bits of old pipes, old clay pipes that used to be produced from the 1600s onwards, and they were kind of like single-use pipes, so they would have a really long neck, and the neck of the pipe would be snipped off and thrown away once filled with tar, and then once there wasn't any more neck available, you would throw away the ball as well. And those bits of pipes are actually quite common along the banks of the river. But it's really rare to find a whole pipe. What you can do with these pipes and with the drawings you've made on the beach, or with any other objects you find, you can redraw the landscape on an object like this pipe, which I got given and is luckily a whole pipe, and I've redrawn the landscape around the river on it, just like I did in the bigger drawings, but on a smaller scale. And to do so, I used some enamel paint, which is kind of nail polish. So if you don't have any enamel paint, you just need to arm yourself with a toothpick and lots of patience and try and paint something that can be quite small like that. What you can do if you found lots of small pipes is to try and reconstruct one with your imagination. Thinking about drawing, you have to consider a little bit composition. So where you want to place your drawing on the paper, and what space is it going to occupy. Do you want to put it in the middle because it's the center? Do you want to put it in the corner because you're going to add other elements to your drawing afterwards? These are all things that you can think about and find out as you make the work happen. This could be the beginning of our pipe, and we can start by coloring in a little bit with the white. And look at the object. There is a little hole where the smoke will go through, and some bits maybe are older than other ones and more consumed. You can look at the light, how it's reflecting on the object to give it that three-dimensionality. So the edge is a bit lighter here, I'm just doing this quickly just to demonstrate and to give you lots of different ideas on how you could treat the objects that you found in the river. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them under the video. The dark bits can just be the black of the paper. You don't need to maybe even add any shadow in this case. This looks a bit like a flower, or it could be bones instead of a pipe almost, which are another really common item. If you want to be a bit like Magritte, you can write, "This is not a pipe" on top of it. And in the same way you want to reconstruct these bits of pipes, you can also reconstruct other fragments of objects that can be found on the river, like plates and old bits of ceramic. Around Limehouse in Chadwell, there used to be, other than lots of boats that would dock from all over Europe and all over the world, there used to be lots of factories of ceramics, and blue ceramic was really popular in the 1800s, and so there is plenty of those little fragments. We're gonna try and do something like the blue drawings I showed you earlier on and select a piece that I really like. There is some little houses on it, like a castle, and at the back it says Medici, and I fantasize about the fact that this comes from Italy, from Florence, that the Medici family went. And I wonder, how did the bigger plate look like? So kind of in the same ways of the pipe, I can just imagine drawing a plate. This plate I'm drawing is probably much smaller than what the original plate would have looked like. And I start by looking at what I have here. There is a nice rim. Maybe I don't really know how this plate was made, and I find that I could mix this castle I'm seeing here on the bit of plate with the buildings I was drawing earlier on the beach. So I can look at my sketches and remember the big building of Canary Wharf that kind of also looks like a little bit like this castle. It's just another tower, really. So I can start adding those towers that I've seen during my walk through the river and the beach. And we can add some ducks, and we can add the piece of the old docking area that we've seen on the beach earlier on, and put it here. It was two of them, so I'm just gonna put two of them. Also, it looks better in the composition. So you can shape the landscape and what you've seen just to make it fit your taste better. And maybe you can even draw somebody here that is mudlarking. And then you can keep on drawing and coloring in by adding the lines that make the decorations of the plate. Carry on like that until you're happy with your drawing. If you're struggling making this look like a plate, because it is really quite flat to be honest, then you can take a plate from your house and look at it, and then at a later stage when the design is completed, add the shadows and all the elements that make this look like a plate, just to give it some depth on how you could shade it with your finger, maybe add some shading under there as well to give it three-dimensionality. Ideally you will add the shadow afterwards, but just for the sake of the demonstrations, I showed you how to do that quickly, and I will just carry on completing my plate. We're here with Johanna now, who came on a walk with us, and is gonna do a little demonstration about her selection of found objects, which she chose for different colors rather than the history behind it. And so we're gonna use some paints to help Johanna making her drawing. You will start by arranging those bits on the paper in a way that composition that you like. So if you just want to find a composition and put it on this piece of paper and arrange your objects in a way that is suitable to you. We have some bones, we have some bits of blue glass, we have some bits of necks and pipe. observing those objects, I think, is the very first step, and to understand the reasons why you picked them up from the beach and what is it that attracted you to them, and that could help you find a direction for whatever you want to do. Yeah, you good with this?
Yeah.
I really like these browns and blues. I think they fit really nicely together.
Yeah.
It's I think you have some good colors there.
Mm-hmm.
I would start by just putting a little bit on the plate
Mm-hmm.
and see how they look when you start diluting them with water. I guess you can approach it in many different ways. You could, for example, wet the paper first in certain areas and then put the color on top of it. Leave some of the paper maybe dry, because that would allow you to have these bits where the color is not gonna go anywhere. Or that would be my suggestion, at least.
Yeah.
You can try and mix the color that looks like that color already in the plate. Like you started here, you start mixing a bit of green and a bit of blue, and you can take them both on the side, exactly. I mean, that was your first instinct to do something that was a bit more abstract and expressionist, I guess. So I think I would maybe even suggest you to break the ice with the paper using maybe even this brush, for example. You could, by using some browns, I'm thinking about this one, and it's just a suggestion really, but you could use the very dry gouache and the texture of the bristle of the brush to sort of create a mark. So you can put 2 different colors on the brush. So you can have one end maybe that is light brown, and one hand that is on one side that is black, and then once you get the brush stroke, they will just mix up together. Would you be maybe interested in this case to use some pastels? That could be an interesting alternative. This is gonna be water repellent. So it's something you can play with. For example, so if you, let's say you want to add one more layer to this one once it's dry, then you can do some white dots on it, or like put some of it, smudge it with your finger, and then you can put some black on top, and then the black will sort of not kind of, I like suppose,
not stick
or
there,
not stick
around.
Yeah, that's an option.
Okay.
I guess if you wet the brush a little bit, you might be able to stretch the color, and it's coming kind of out of the square, which is nice. If you feel you have excess water on your paper, you can always use a little bit of tissue to take it off. Yeah, exactly, and see what happens. You can even lift your paper and let it leak, or you can reabsorb it, or you can add more water.
These are just some suggestions and ideas that I hope will inspire you in the making of your own artwork. You can do anything you want. It is really a blank canvas, and there's no rules other than unleashing your creativity and having fun. I hope you found this video inspiring, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you've been making. If you're up for it, you can send your artwork or a picture of it to us at the Steamship project space by the 7th of September. We will do our best to include it in our upcoming exhibition, which is opening on the 11th of September. Thank you for watching, and get drawing!